What's up, everybody? What's going on? Hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody had a great holiday season and a happy new year. DNC Radio is back in town. This is your boy D from DNC Digital. Thank you so much for listening. One thing I do want to get started, and I will talk about with my guest, is just a few hours ago I learned about the passing of NBA legend Kobe Bryant, who played for the Los Angeles Lakers. He passed away in a helicopter crash, reportedly with his 13-year-old daughter. And, to be totally honest, I was never a fan of the Lakers. I was usually rooting against them. But this is a human being and an inspiring human being. A bunch of people would yell the word Kobe when they're shooting a paper ball into a trash can. A lot of people emulate him in their game. A lot of people have his posters on their wall. So may he rest in peace. We're going to talk about him for just a little bit and the effect he had on not just people in the basketball game, but people in life. Because I remember a bunch of his quotes. I remember reading about him. And with that being said, very special guest today, professional wrestler out here in South Texas, and hopefully later on he's going to expand. Part of the military. He served in the military from 2001 to 2006. He's in the Soldiers Angels. So we're going to talk about so much stuff about his military career along with his wrestling career, and if there are any parallels to it, and just him as a person, his interests and his passions. Stud Stache Enforcer, the big man. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh no, thank you so much for being on here, because I feel like your story is one that needs to be told while you can smell the roses, And
Yeah.
that being said, how did the news affect you today about the death of Kobe Bryant?
Oh man, I did shed some tears. I think whether you like him or not, or you root for him or not, he was drafted when I was a freshman in high school. And, I played a lot of organized sports since I was, young, since I was like, 8, 9 years old. And basketball is actually, one of my best sports. I had, some good size. I was undersized for a center. And like I said, Kobe just came in our freshman year, and that's what it was all about. The kid from high school, one of us, you know what I mean? And we followed his career. Of course, I'm a San Antonio Spurs guy, man, till the day I die. All the way from Sean Elliott, Robinson, to the Tim Duncan era, to the championship eras. And Kobe was right there with us, trying to get us every time. And he did a bunch of times with Shaq. And, so when he came to town, when the Lakers came to town, man, it was going to be a battle. Like every second on that clock counted. And I just admired his attitude towards the game. He was a student of the game, even, in the off season. I mean, he pushed himself so hard, and everybody wanted to emulate that, and be the toughest, player out there, or the toughest athlete, because he is one of the greatest. And so it hit me because, he touched a lot of people. And, when you touch so many lives, you affect so many lives. And, to read all the tweets and Facebook posts, it's sad, and then it's a human life. And along with his daughter, who had that same, from what they described, that same, passion in her eyes, in her mind, like her daddy. Like it's a sad day, man. It's a sad day today.
Yeah, it's one of the, it's one of those things for me that you'll know where you were when you heard the news. And no disrespect to everyone else in the game who has passed, but he owns a generation to me, I was the one that I was yelling Jordan when I threw the paper ball in the basket, like that's, if I can age myself, that's what I'm doing. That was my era. So before it was Wilt Chamberlain, then it was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, then it was Jordan, then it was Kobe, and now LeBron James, who coincidentally, passed Kobe Bryant last night, the crazy coincidence, in the all-time scoring record. So, to me, Kobe owns that part of history, that part of NBA history.
Yeah.
Or you can say that those were his years, And I put it on my Facebook or Instagram. I can't remember which one it was, but I rooted against him only because he was just so damn good.
Yeah.
And the guy would break your heart, and he would smile doing it. And it's that mentality, like, you take with you in life, and whether or not they like you, or if they're going against you, you got to. If they're going against you, you got to put them down and be proud of it, because you're moving along in life. You're getting that win.
Yeah, if he came to your hometown, he was definitely a natural heel.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if he ever wanted to go into the wrestling business, all he had to do was go into whatever city was a rival of the Lakers. But that being said, may he rest in peace, him and his daughter, a beautiful 13-year-old girl. I have a daughter, and so it kind of hits you, a little bit more.
Yeah.
So Stache, let's go to the beginning. Let's go to the beginning. You grew up in Laredo, correct?
No, San Antonio.
San Antonio, excuse me. I'm sorry. You're part of the Laredo Wrestling Alliance. That's what it is. So tell me about the life in San Antonio. You telling me that you're a diehard Spurs fan, Spurs fan, and so what was life like growing up? Were you always a big kid? Were you always that tall?
I was always a tallish kid. Yeah. I didn't really get my size till I got out of the army, or I was in the army. I was always a tall kid, so I played a lot of basketball, YMCA basketball. Like, I think when I was in third grade, I started playing, and I was decent at it. I had good instincts. I had maybe slightly above average skills in basketball, but my instincts are what kept me, on that floor all the time. Having that basketball mind. I was always into sports, man. Organized sports, middle school through high school. That's all I did was watch basketball, watch Cowboys with my dad, Spurs with my dad. We would watch wrestling together. Back when it came on Monday night, but it was Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon hosting primetime wrestling.
Oh man, that was the best.
Man, me and my dad every time, man. Every time.
I was just looking up some old footage, and I just when Gorilla would just Bobby Heenan would be on his shit, and you just hear Gorilla, "Will you stop?"
Yeah.
That was classic banter.
Yeah, so it was filled with nothing but sports, being active, and just going to school and trying to be, good in school. Just trying to be good in school.
You have a pretty intimidating look to you. Not only the mustache. I mean, as this is playing, pictures of you is being posted. You're a big dude. You're a big guy.
Yeah.
But were you a tough kid, or were you just you were just blessed with that size? Because something tells me that you got in a couple scraps in high school, maybe.
You know what? I didn't really have to do too much. Being in elementary, yeah, you get into little scuffles, nothing serious. Middle school, nothing really serious. High school, nothing too serious, just minor scuffles. It wasn't until I got that chip when I was in the service, and you discover yourself pretty stronger than you used to, than you used to be. I had my eyes opened, when I was in the army.
Right.
It made you tough. So if you see someone else, you size them up. I don't know why. It just melts testosterone.
I can take him. I got him. Yeah.
When I was in the service, that's when I caused a lot of trouble off hours.
off hours. Yeah, not on the clock. No, because that would be.
No.
Let's go back to high school though. You were playing high school basketball. Is that correct?
Yes.
Throughout middle school and high school. So, was that something long term, or did you do that, just for the love of sports, or was it something that you thought I want to do this in college?
I did it for the love of sports. In middle school, did basketball, football. I love football. When I got to high school, I played my freshman year, but you know how they start to separate people, or maybe some ain't too good at both sports, but this guy's better at basketball, so let's, steer them that direction. Or this guy's better at football, so you don't need to play basketball, just play strictly football. I was kind of steered into the direction of basketball, man, and it was fun. I loved going up against, I'm 6 foot right now. I was probably 5'10", 5'11" in high school, and I loved going up against the 6'4s, the 6'5s, the 6'6s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that challenge, man. And I'll rebound some of these guys. I'd keep them out of the paint. I'd frustrate them. That's why I spent a lot of time on the floor.
Oh, okay, that's good. Now, when you graduated high school, what happened then? What was your plan? Did you just say, let's see how this goes, or did you have something set to see where you would progress in life?
There was no plan. I didn't have a desire to go to college. There's an old place over here called the Colt 45 field where they would have wrestling. I saw some guys. I can't even remember their names. I trained for like a couple months and I lost interest. I was young.
And why was that you lost interest?
Man, I was just into getting in trouble with my friends, smoking dope, drinking beers, at such a young age. 18. Still, I could have been doing something more productive. My life was kind of at a standstill, and it was my fault.
Now, so what made you decide to go into the military? Is that something that you thought maybe this will probably set me straight?
I got in some trouble with the law, due to like minor impossessions, taking the car and, I got alcohol in it, get pulled over, I'm drinking alcohol, so this stuff starts piling up. And, my parents are frustrated. They're like, I can just understand them now that I'm older. Like, we didn't raise our son just to sputter out like that,
What was their response when you were getting into all this trouble?
They really didn't know what to do, man. I was like, I had a bad attitude. I just had a bad attitude after high school. I just had one, and I don't know why. Maybe I was frustrated because I saw all my friends going off to college and things like that, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it comes time to, pay up to all these, tickets and warrants or whatever. And, I think I remember the judge mentioning like it'd be a good idea for you to get into the military, because if not, this stuff turns into jail time. And so I went and saw a recruiter because one of my friends joined the service, and it was history from there. May 31st, 2001, a year after graduation.
May 31st, 2001, that's when you joined the military.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that judge suggested it. I don't know what would have happened if that judge didn't say those words,
Oh, man.
God knows where we would have been.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be where I'm at now.
So now 6 months later, September 11th happens of that same year.
Yeah.
So what that did even, everybody knows where they were. Just like today with Kobe Bryant. This is something that's, it's stamped in history now.
Yeah.
September 11th, I know where I was. I know exactly what happened. And I remember that day so vividly. Tell me about your experience on September 11th.
September 11th, I walked into my medical training class, Fort Sam, Houston. I had been there maybe 3 weeks. And we walk in, they have the TV on. Everything's pretty quiet, and we don't know what's going on because we have no access to internet or anything like that. We're in our MOS school, our training school. Mm-hmm. So we just get up from breakfast, work out, and go get changed, shower, get ready for our class. Walk into class, and the looks on the drill sergeant's faces said it all. They had tears. They had, they weren't focused, and that's something I wasn't used to anymore.
Right, of course.
Everything was so drilled into us, It's like they hated us, but they were just doing their job. And that day they were out of character.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made us, kind of get out of character. Like, whoa, what's going on? What's really going on? So everybody was quiet. We watched the TV. When the second plane hit. We were watching it live.
Jesus.
Yeah, and 19-year-old Hispanic boy from San Antonio was pretty nervous. Started putting puzzles together in my head, and the drill sergeant, maybe an hour later said, "All right, guys," he goes, "this is real." He goes, "The training is real. I guarantee you, everyone in this class, if you make it in the Army, if you make it through this combat medic school, you're going to see combat." And I remember him saying that, and I got scared. I was
right.
scared.
Yeah. You thought it was just to pay off a couple of debts, and now might be a bigger debt.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's where I was.
Jesus. So the NYPD and the FDNY. Me growing up in Jersey, those are some of the toughest dudes on the planet. God knows what the fire department and the police department of New York City goes through. So just like your superiors in the military, these big, strong men that you look at, like these titans, these giants of men, and they're crawled up in a fetal position crying in their brother's arms. What was your reaction mentally to seeing your superiors, like you say, drop character?
I'm real good at talking to myself, so when that happened, man, I was telling myself, "Hey, calm down. You know probably what's gonna happen." I was like, I knew what was coming. It was almost like I felt it, but I didn't want to let on to anybody because I didn't want to seem like I didn't want to be the one just to talk out of place or to say something. So I just kept to myself, and man, I was shaking, man. I wanted to cry, but because I knew what was going to happen, I knew what was going to happen. And I was really shaken. But at the same time, you have that talk with yourself and you're like, you know what? You put yourself in this position. So just, kick ass at it.
So tell me what that was like, heading over there your first few days, few months as a combat medic.
Oh, you're talking about getting deployed?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay. It was, you can't buy that kind of adrenaline, Mm-hmm. It was, scary, man. It was scary because everything's so brand new to you. You're so young, and, it was definitely scary, but, you got to push. You see those around you who need you to be strong. Because they look at you because the person you are, and if you were to show not weakness, but if you were to show
if you were to drop character,
yeah, if I was to show that, then people would get nervous. I mean, like I am now. That's how I was when I was over there. I was real outgoing. I'm friends with everybody. I don't shake your hand. I hug you. That's how I am. So if I would have stopped doing any of that, some folks would have been like, "Hey, what's wrong?" or kind of gotten scared themselves. So I kind of still had to keep that cheerleader attitude going. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, seeing the stuff that you saw, I'm pretty sure it didn't match the brochure.
Oh hell no.
Were you thinking of any of this happening while you were signing up, and they were giving you? Not to say that they're not right, but they're giving you all the good parts about joining the Army.
Oh, not a single thought. I thought I was going to be working in a hospital. I'm just going to do 4 years and grab my school money that they promised me, and everything's going to be all right. That was
the way it. And then God is like, let me show you something.
Said, "Oh, kid, you need a curveball right about now."
How do you feel about somebody so young going off into that kind of world? How do you feel about the military age? I guess that's a question that just popped in my head. An 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, just your feet are, your socks are still probably being washed by your mother. Let alone you going over there, and now you're responsible
Yeah,
for. I mean, you as a medic too.
yeah. I
They're
was a
coming.
medic responsible lives, and I couldn't even buy a pack of smokes.
There you go. How do you feel about that? What do you think about a kid being that young? What would you tell your 18-year-old self, and what would you tell an 18-year-old kid that's ready to join the
You
military?
know what? That's good, man. I thought about this too. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's good and it's bad. I mean, it'd be cool if they raised it to 21,
Hmm.
but also some people need it at that age because you are considered a man when you're 18. That's what I've been raised to believe. And I wasn't being a man when I should have. And these experiences made me a man overnight, man.
Was it? I mean, it's kind of a weird question, or it's a stupid question, kind of. Um, Knowing that you were getting in trouble, and you were disappointing your parents who were trying hard to raise you. Did you see what they were talking about, and did you take any lessons that they gave you as a kid along with you overseas?
Um, yeah, I took some stuff with me that, they had tried I took the stuff that I didn't let go out one ear. And I took some of that with me. Yeah. I have to be strong-minded because my father's the strongest man I know right now. He still wakes up at 3 in the morning and he still comes home at 5 in the afternoon, from
You said
work.
he wakes up at 3 in the morning. I'm like in my
Yes,
second
sir.
dream at 3 in the morning, man.
He runs a meat production company, man. So he works in a freezer. He's been doing that. I believe he's like 62 right now, 61, I think, and he's been doing
What's his name? Let us say hi to him.
it. His name's David Campos. I'm Junior.
David Campos. God bless you, sir.
Yeah, he is a man's man. That's exactly what he is. Toughest man I know.
And did you feel like you were doing him right? You were making him proud being over there.
Definitely. Especially because he'd always say, if you put yourself in a certain situation, you better not bitch about it. So that's exactly what I had to do. I couldn't
Nice.
I couldn't bitch about it, man, or else I'd be failing him.
And so what's the relationship like you now at this point in your life? You're in the military, and you're a young man, and becoming, like you said, a man overnight. You were kind of getting into a little bit of trouble as a teenager. Now you're a lot more disciplined. What was your first trip back home like? Between the two men, that is you and your father,
Uh,
um, what
it
was
was
that like?
it was great. It was great. That first time back home after spending, 13 months in Iraq, 14 months straight, by the way. Uh, when I got home, I valued a lot of things differently. I saw things differently. Like, I never showed too much emotion with my parents just because when they were raising me, they were both at work long hours. The only really time I'd see them is when they're at my basketball games, sports games, anything like that. So, I loved them, yes, but I never openly told them I loved them as much as I should have. But when I got back, man, oh, I was so affectionate. I valued, everybody. Even my sister, I never would tell her I loved her. We fought all the time. We fist fought.
You fist fought your sister?
Oh yeah, she'd whip my
Man,
ass.
I want to meet this lady who put down the stud stash.
Yeah. So when I got back, man, I would tell her I loved her. I would squeeze everybody as much as
She's
I
probably
can.
she's probably still like, man, shut the hell up.
Oh, she definitely does. Nah, but the relationships definitely got stronger and tighter. I think it pulled my family a little bit closer together. All of us, extended family as well, because nobody had really in our time like gone to war, and
Mhm.
you know, it was a lot different back then too. In '03, there weren't cell phones, there wasn't Skype, there was no internet really. I mean, we're writing letters, but my mother didn't hear from me until about 6 months in, so she wouldn't know too much how I was doing, you know.
Um, in those 13, 14 months, you were away from your family, but you gained another one.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
can you
oh
can you
yeah.
tell? can you tell me what it's like, pretty much sleeping together, maybe like, napping together, eating together, living together, everything is together. Tell me about the brotherhood, that people talk about so much about the military. And
Uh,
maybe, hit me with a story about maybe one of them you got close to, or something that exemplifies the
oh,
brotherhood. And
uh-huh. Man, it's the brotherhood. It's what they model fraternities over. It's what wrestling fraternities are probably modeled from. It's what motorcycle clubs are modeled after. The brotherhood from the military. Um, Man, I'm best friends with this white kid from Indiana, Muncie, Indiana. That's my best friend. That's my brother. I will do anything for him, man. And he lives in Minnesota right now. He was stationed. He got to Iraq. I was already there, and he got there like 2 weeks later. So I didn't really know who he was. I know he was on my squad, and I was in charge of him.
Mhm.
I didn't like him because I was pissed off that I was there, you know. But the more time we spent with each other, man, it was, we're from two opposite sides of the country, and we became brothers. We were there in '04 and in '03. I was in charge of him. When we got back, I got in some good trouble, and
Nice.
let's just say when we went back in '05, he was in charge of me. So, but we both got out in '06, and we talk a lot. Now we visit each other at least twice a year.
Mhm.
You know, we're so close. He named his first son. He gave his first son's middle name David.
Wow, man. That's
Yeah,
wow.
that's how close we are. Yeah, that's a brother right there. He came when I had my bout with. I was real bad drugs and alcohol a couple years ago. Like bad, man. That's why I'm always hashtagging, pro wrestling saves lives. I was, I was drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, and one night I kind of lost it. Woke up with my wife scared. I was locked in the bedroom, I think. Woke up and she had called him, which he called another, sister of ours, and they called another one who happened to live here, and he left his pregnant wife and came the next day here to San Antonio.
Wow. And I bet the wife was just like, go take care of him.
Exactly, exactly. She said that, and they
Yeah.
came here with me. Kind of, we talked, talked everything out. Realized I needed to get some like real help. Try and find that outlet. To save me from PTSD, from my PTSD, and I from right there at that point, I stopped drinking for about a year.
Let's um let's backtrack just a little bit. You talk about PTSD, and a lot of our veterans are suffering from it. A lot of active military is also suffering from it.
Yeah,
Um, I wish and you know what? I want to thank you for being so open, because it's probably going to get a little heavy, when we talk about your military time. Um, I don't even know how to word the question. I mean, you lose brothers, you see stuff that is like,
you're not
you think it's like CGI in a movie or something. From your perspective, and speaking as only one person who's lived through that, what what I don't even know how to ask it. Like, what goes through your mind? Like, how do you sleep? The nightmares, and what helped you wake up again to go back into it? Like, can you explain maybe one moment where you were like, no, that's it, I'm done, I want to go home, and maybe what helped you get back out there?
yeah. Yeah, man. Like I said, 19, 20 years old, over there as a medic, responsible for lives. I don't know if we're even supposed to be responsible at that age, like that.
Yeah.
um, the first time it hit me like whoa, this is what I'm doing. Was I mean, there was a battle going on, our mission, and we were told that we had to retrieve, some of our KIAs, are killed in actions. I'm like, whoa, this is nuts. But you could say it's nuts till you finally come upon it. And
Right.
so we load some of these guys in my ambulance, and I'm just kind of like sitting there like, whoa, this is nuts. But it still didn't hit me until because you have to write a report, man. It's just like here. You have to fill out name, all sorts of things, what happened, anything that you notice. And I had to find out his name, and it wasn't on his uniform because his uniform was not there. But I did find his wallet. So I opened the wallet, and I see this guy about 22 years old with his wife and his maybe 2-year-old little girl. And that's when it hit me. And we were about 2 months into this thing. And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here. I shouldn't be here. A lot of sadness, a lot of fear, a lot of guilt right then and there. Just because this guy, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't have to see this guy. This guy shouldn't even be here either. And that was wild. That's like the first thing I came upon ever, being a combat medic over there. But then, like you said, we debrief afterwards, and like I said, I always talk to myself. I was always good at having a conversation with myself.
Mhm.
And I would say, hey, man, you can't freak out. You have to stay. You have to stay whether you want to or not. I mean, I'm a
Yeah.
couple thousand miles away. So, I kind of had to be there for myself during that time. And it would work. It would work. But yeah, man, that was real early. I think I was like 2 months into it. And, woo. Yeah, talking about something.
Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the event that you have somebody that you know pass away, did you ever have that feeling that you know they've shown you pictures of their family, they've talked to you about their kids? Has a moment ever come where one of them has passed and you talk about guilt? Do you ever have the feeling in your head like that could have been me, or why wasn't it me?
Or it should have been me because I don't have kids. I'm just a kid. I'm just some punk guy. I always had a low self-esteem. I don't know why. But I would always say, and then I think that made it worse. I was just like, man, why that person? Why
Right.
not me? I don't have any kids. I don't have any kind of relationship. Why take something precious from that guy and his family and his extended family and not just take it from me? I mean, everything would hurt the same probably, but
Hmm.
it's just, and it's just, a feeling I want to say everybody gets, especially when it comes to someone especially if you know that person's a good person. You're like, man, I said, like, why that person? Like today, why Kobe?
Yeah.
You know what I
Perfect
mean?
example.
Why his daughter? Why? But yeah, I get that guilt. And it's a real thing. I had no idea. It's a real thing. It's called survivor's remorse or
Oh,
survivor's
okay.
guilt.
Okay.
Yeah, and that contributes to my PTSD a lot.
So you get home 2006, is that correct?
Yeah, had about 8 months, 9 months in between deployments, and then I go back in '05 for another 12, and then come back in 2006.
You had a position in the military where everybody counted on you. If
Yeah,
I got shot in the leg, I'm gonna go to you. If we're under fire and you're the one that everybody goes to. How did it feel coming back home and less people depended on you, I guess you can say? Because I've read it so many times that it's really hard to transition back home because you had such an important job overseas. you were just a huge part of this puzzle. And then now you go back home and you're just another spoke on the wheel, I guess you can say.
Yeah. No, you hit it right there on the head, man. My structure's gone. My, I guess my way of thinking is kind of in limbo. Like nobody's coming to me. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's coming to me. What's my purpose? What do I do now? You know, where's my instructions?
Right.
You know, and that's when your mind is the most dangerous. And that's what happened. I saved a lot of money being deployed those 2 years. So when I got back, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think I started taking a couple of classes at a community college, but there was no job really that I was interested in. So, you know, I started drinking.
Yeah, so that's exactly where I wanted to go. So now, like,
I can afford to, you know. So, like,
yeah,
I started drinking. I don't want to be alone, you know, because I'm used to having my battle buddies around, you know, all my buddies in the Army. So I would call whoever wanted to hang out, say, hey, you don't got to pay for a dang thing, I'll do it, you know, and get drunk from whenever I wanted to whenever I wanted to.
and it wasn't just alcohol, right? It was it developed into some deeper stuff. Was this a way to cope with what happened, or was this more of a defense mechanism, maybe because you were lonely and you used it to fill up a void, maybe?
It started because I was lonely, but then it started becoming a defense mechanism. Little things were happening that I didn't notice before, and you know, you think to yourself, like, if I tell anybody, they're gonna think I'm freaking crazy, and they're gonna lock me up or something. You know, you start thinking crazy. So, you know, I'd have bad nightmares, bad dreams. I would zone out and start, you know, wanting to hear what I wanted to hear that I thought, you know, what it was, what I was hearing. That sounds kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
I would think like I can hear tanks. So I would kind of zone off and make it, you know, make it believable in my ears. Weird. Little things like that I didn't like. When I would drive, I could zone out because I would see stuff in the road, you know, dead animals all over the place. But dead animals in Iraqi roads were, you know, improvised explosive devices. That's where they would plant their bombs to take out our vehicles.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so when I'm driving here, I see those things, I tense up, I get freaked out, to the point to where, in the beginning, I remember I would pull over and I'd just sit there until I was ready to drive again. That's how much it affected me. It affected my sleep. You know, I get like maybe an hour or two sleep a night, if that.
Did it also affect relationships in your life? Or was there ever a moment where, because of your experiences, you know, nobody would understand what you went through? And maybe it was there's a different way to calm you down now. There's a different way to approach you. Has it ever caused a problem in your personal life with other people that are generally close to you?
Oh yeah, friends, you know, friends stop wanting to hang out with you because you do the whole blackout thing and, you know, break stuff and, you know, so they stop wanting to hang out with you. So it affects some of my friendships, you know, or their ladies would say, hey, I don't want you hanging out with him. He's freaking wild, you know. And it affected things with my wife. It affected things with my mom. My mom was real scared. My dad showed a lot of concern, but man, my dad reminds me of the dad from the movie Blow. You know, he loved me no matter what.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, yeah, but it did affect some relationships, and yeah, man, it was rough on some people, and I was inconsiderate.
You went deep into down the rabbit hole, as they say. You've allowed me to talk about it, so it's alcohol, weed, cocaine, crystal meth. What made you develop that deep? Why couldn't it just stay at alcohol or weed? Why did it turn into cocaine and crystal meth?
Um, I didn't want to go to sleep because when I close my eyes, I see ugly things. I see what happened out there. That stuff would morph into like demons, monsters, crazy stuff. It sounds crazy coming out of my mouth right now every time I talk about it, but it would morph into stuff and like that. So, hey, if I can't go to sleep, well, then I won't see that stuff. So let me take stimulants. And if that stimulant, I got used to it, it wasn't affecting me. Let's see if there's a higher stimulant. And sure enough, I could find it. And, when you stay up for a couple of days at a time, you don't know if you're asleep or awake. And that's where it got really scary.
Take me to that night. That night that you decided to stop.
I had broken a laptop, I think, while I was trying to complete schoolwork. So that's crazy. I was drinking probably since, I don't know what day it was, but I was on a bender.
You were going for days. That way,
yeah. And sometimes you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. I knew, but you had no idea. I fooled my wife. I would talk her into bringing me cases home after I'd been drinking 1 or 2 cases during the day. So what made me want to change something was, my wife getting real scared. She said I went to sleep around 2. I remember passing out at like 10. So I was blacked out for about 4 or 5 hours. So that's really scary because I don't know what I'm doing. The machine's moving, but, where's the person who operates it? Not even there. Machine's moving. And then,
autopilot.
Yeah. And then what scared me the most was the next day when we talked, she said, I looked into your eyes. She goes, and I don't know who the hell that was. And mind you, we come from Hispanic families, we believe in a lot of crazy folklore and tales and stuff like that. I know you've heard some of that before. Especially you being in the valley, like, they have all the, just crazy stuff that happens. We're real. I was raised in a Catholic kind of background, everybody's religious. Mm-hmm. So you can't believe in heaven, the angels and God without believing there's a devil and demons, Mm-hmm. So she said when she looked into my eyes, that it wasn't me. That she don't know who the hell it was. And that scared me, man, because I was like, man, well, what the hell? What's going on? Like, I had no idea what was going on, but I knew I had to stop all the bad shit I was doing for any good to start.
And was it hard? Was it just cold turkey, or tell me about the process of getting yourself clean?
It was cold turkey. It was cold turkey. That was pretty hard. I still smoke a little bit, because that is no harm. Like, I never thought of that to harm anything. I use it when I get, anxious and stuff like that. It'll calm me down. So that's why I just smoke a little bit of weed, But everything else, I stopped. And it was hard. It was hard, and my body was mad. My body was mad. They wanted its fix, and I wasn't giving it to it. I did pick up a habit in drinking Mountain Dew though, because
nice,
because it keeps you up, So right. I would do that. Code Red was my favorite.
Now, Code Red is going to send you a case now after listening to this.
But yeah, man, it was hard, but it was something I had to do. Do I drink now? Yes, but I don't drink because I just want to be crazy, I just drink, to enjoy it. I socially drink.
How did your parents feel after you started getting clean?
They were happy. Everybody, I received great support from my family, from my friends, my wife. That support. Like, without that support, man, I would have fell off.
Right.
Everybody kept me on the right track.
Talk about Soldiers Angels and what these guys do for the world and the community.
Oh. Nice. Yeah. So a good I want to say that year that I had stopped all that. I had graduated. I don't know how I graduated, but I got a bachelor's degree while I was an alcoholic and drug addict. Um, I got a bachelor's degree, right? And I was like, well, what can I do? So I looked for a job for a good, 6 months. Um, Finally found these guys called Soldiers Angels. They were offering internships to veterans, paid internships. So it wasn't much. It was $1,000 a month, but it got me that purpose. It
Right.
got me feeling that I have a job to do, and it's an important job because I'm dealing with veterans and their families. So Soldiers Angels, they have they'll get mad at me if I don't remember the spiel, but they're
Yeah,
national.
you need to go ahead and tell us how to contact them, how to find them, how to look them up.
Yeah, they're at www.soldiersangels, I believe .org. If not, it has to be a .com. But so just type in Soldiers Angels and they pop up. They're a national nonprofit organization, and they help those who are deployed. They help wounded, ill, and injured, post 9/11. They focus on post 9/11 veterans, which is great. Was a great feeling to me. Not discriminating any other eras, but that's what I was a part of. That was my generation, post 9/11.
That was your experience, yeah.
Yeah. So they have a bunch of programs. They had one when I first got there. My job was it was called oh, they're gonna get mad at me. It was for the holidays. It's called Adopt a Family.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah, we were talking about that.
yeah, so families who needed help for the holidays. Sometimes parents are out of work, and one of them is a veteran, so they would submit their family along with DD 214s, which is your proof that you were in the service, and they would state their case, and man, you'd read some of these stories and it breaks your heart, and you find that family someone to adopt them, and they would look at the list that the kids made or the parents made, and they would give them a gift certificate to go get something for a family dinner, and they would make their Christmas. They would make their Christmas. When I was there, I think it was over 12,000 families were served in America.
And tell me how many you were able to help in one Christmas.
Over 12,000.
That's crazy.
Or 12,
That's
1,200, 12,000. Man, now they're going to really get mad at me.
Oh no, it's okay. My notes say 1,200.
1,200, there we go. 1,200.
Okay.
That's the
You were able to help 1,200 families of
yeah.
veterans in one Christmas to have a better Christmas. Tell me about the support that you get as a veteran from the public, and what that means to you, and other people that served in the military.
Um, it means a lot when someone shakes my hand. It means a lot when a young person shakes my hand and tells me thank me for my service. I was hanging out with my nephew last night, and one of his frat brothers, 22-year-old kids, man. And the guy, he tells me right off the bat, I was talking about something, just a small tidbit from the military, and he just looks over to me and pulls out his hand. He goes, man, not only you're a cool uncle, he goes, thank you for your service, man. He's all, thank you for everything. And I was like, damn. I said, that means a lot coming from a young kid.
Yeah, because now you know there's hope for this generation.
Oh yeah. So it feels good to be appreciated. It feels good not to be forgotten. Because what I did out there, what a bunch of my brothers did out there, it's a small percentage of the population that has the balls to sign on that dotted line, and be vulnerable to the things that can happen out there.
So now, seeing how you are this large, this tall, this big, this intimidating, you decide to try again with professional wrestling. So, tell me about Bryson Scott. What that guy? Yeah, tell me about that little firecracker there.
Scott, man.
I gotta get him on the show because he is a part of a very important documentary. So I'm gonna swing that back to you. I want you to tell me about the documentary and what Bryson means to you personally.
Long story short, I'm gonna give you the story, but I mean,
Yeah,
to
right.
sum it up, there would be no Stud Stache Enforcer if it wasn't for Bryson Scott. And I always tell him, I always let people know, I love it. I love that fact about me because he is, he reminds me just like, he's a veteran for the military and he reminds me of one of the boys, in the barracks. We definitely have a great relationship. Yeah, I saw him at one of the events, Soldiers Angels events, and kind of looking at each other. I was wearing a wrestling shirt, Jeff Hardy, and
shout out Jeff Hardy.
And we met through a mutual friend, that worked there. Says, hey, you two need to meet. And he's all, you like wrestling? And I was like, oh yeah. And he goes, you need to come to my show, man. And I was all, what? He goes, come to my show. And then when I first look at him, Bryson's, don't get mad at me, Bryson, but you're a little guy. But, you're jacked, So me being as big as I am, I'm looking at him like, man, you ain't no wrestler, And I didn't really keep up with independence at all. I was just a main guy. And, I've been watching wrestling all my life, since, I was 5, 6 years old. And so he tells me to come to this show, Galactic Pro Wrestling, which awesome organization. And I go to this show and he's wrestling with Simply Luscious in a tag match. I don't know who the other two people were, so I'm sorry if they're listening or they're going to listen. And I forgot who it was because I was just focused on them. And Bryson was a showman. I enjoyed everything he did out there. So when he asked afterwards, how did I enjoy it? I was like, man, it was badass. I loved it. When's the next one? So he told me when the next one was. It was the very next week in Laredo. So I went with him. Barely even know each other, and we're on the road. I have a picture from it. I still have that picture. And we're on the road, me, him, and Luscious. Turns out it's a 2-day event, all ladies, so all wrestlers were female, and they tore it down. Kylie Ray was there, Thunder Rosa, she was there with her tag team, and Luscious, Taya Valkyrie was there. I saw
pretty stacked card.
I saw Roxy
just alone.
I saw Roxy versus Kylie Ray that night.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
Roxy. For all the listeners, Roxy is the next up and coming female wrestler out here in South Texas. And the crazy part is that the young lady is only 18 years old.
Yeah.
And she, her story's just being written, and it's still gonna keep going. So shout out to Roxy.
Yeah. Yeah, Roxy also told me, hey, you're not that bad in the ring. So I take that as a compliment. I loved it. Yeah, we actually got to work with each other a couple weekends ago. It was fun. Totally fun. She's super nice.
Awesome. So you became Bryson's muscle. You were
Bryson.
You were the diesel to his Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, his first idea was he was doing the whole Jason David Frank thing. That just started, they started, Twitter beef or Twitter ideas, whatever. And he got me in as a bodyguard for Jason David Frank at an LWA event where they were going to scuffle. So I started like that. And that was about a month into knowing Bryson. And then he just said, I want you to come out with me. And I'm like, well, what do I do? And he said, just listen to me. And I'm like, all right. So I listened to him. And maybe a few weeks later, I had that itch. And he already knew because he said, what's on your mind? And I said, man, I want more. And he says, all right, bring stuff to work out in. If call time's 3, we're getting there at 1. And so we could get in the ring for a good little hour and a half. And that's how I trained on the road. And then picking his mind, Luscious's mind, on the road was training. That was great school right there.
Yeah, just conversations with somebody in the business can teach you so much.
Yeah, I'm hearing Luscious tell ECW stories, man, and I'm like a kid. I'm just a kid. Bryson's probably heard them over and over, and then I don't help matters by saying, "Hey, tell that one again about so and so." But
Lush is excuse me. I'm part of that. I'm part of that group that is definitely petitioning Luscious to get to the Ring of Honor anniversary show.
oh yeah, yeah, that should happen, man. I mean, why not? She's original in so many ways in a bunch of different parts of wrestling. Um, so that's, I want to say, 6 straight months of traveling with Luscious and Bryson Scott.
Hmm.
Hours in the car, all over Texas. So much fun, so much training in school for me.
Did you
And,
feel like it was a better go around this time as opposed to the
when I
few?
tried before, yeah, oh yeah, because I already have the discipline, determination, and it's my dream. And man, I'm getting to do this. It was just crazy, and it was flowing, and it was a
Hmm.
great outlet. I look
So
forward to it.
now, tell me about your first match. How did that go?
Ooh, uh, I think they probably needed another person. I think they needed another person, and Bryson goes, "All right, we're tagging tonight." And I go, "What?" He goes, "We're tagging." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." So I had to borrow some boots from I borrowed boots from George, aka Mad One from What a Team. So thanks,
Hmm.
brother, for lending me your boots for my first ever match. We had a tag team match against Jonathan Lopez and from the Renegades. He's gonna get mad at me too. Not COVID.
Um,
Bandana Joe.
Bandana Joe, Bandana Joe.
Bandana Joe, yeah, against them two. And I was shitting bricks. I was so nervous, even though it felt great having Bryson right there at my side. That
Right.
like relieved a whole bunch of anxiety, but I was still anxious. Got in there, did a couple easy things, looked decent doing it. I was told. We came out on top. I gave Jonathan Lopez a world's strongest slam, and Bryson came off the top with a frog splash. Looked nice, and we got
That
to.
sounds like it was a good spot.
No, it was. I loved it, and got to be in a real match with my brother, my best friend Bryson, and drink some beers afterwards about it, and it was awesome. It was an awesome feeling. When it was over, it was an awesome feeling.
So now you get backstage and everybody's shaking your hand. And, I've trained for a little bit, so I know there's a rule to shaking hands when you get there.
Uh,
And I can attest to this, but I want you to talk about it since you're my guest today. Tell me about the Brotherhood in wrestling and how it parallels to the Brotherhood in military. Can you say that it's the same thing?
oh man, that's what the doctor ordered for me. That's my medicine. It is exactly the same. You know, being tight with these guys in the military, you're tight with them because you're with them all the time.
Hmm.
Same thing in wrestling. You're in the locker room with a lot of the same guys. You meet new guys, and it's too easy to be nice. So everybody shakes hands, yeah. But I mean, if anybody out there knows me that's listening, they know that I'm a hugger.
You're a
I'm a big
hugger.
guy. I'm a big guy.
You're just a big Bailey. That's what you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah. I'll grab your hand. I'll pull you in. I'm gonna hug you, man. That's the way. That's the way I do. So,
I'm
yeah.
just thinking about Money Mike and next Friday, or is it Friday after next?
Oh, yeah. When you Catholic goes,
Gets
whoa, I
pulled. It's like the Matrix.
feel like I was in the Matrix. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah. But the Brotherhood is the same. If not, I think it's I love it more because it's my passion. It's what I've always wanted to do, be a wrestler, and now I have the same Brotherhood as the military, and I combine the two, and it's just awesome.
I just want to go back just a little bit and talk about Valhalla Club, and if you could explain to the public what that documentary is about.
Oh yeah, Valhalla Club. I've seen the documentary as well. It stars Bryson, Jan, and Eddie. Uh, they started the Valhalla Club because they were all veterans and shared the same locker room, and we're all going through the same things, mentally, and they're all using wrestling as an outlet. because if you're wrestling, all you're doing is thinking about that and nothing else. And if you didn't have wrestling or that outlet, you'd be thinking of the stuff that war did, to your friends, to your family, to you. So it's a great outlet, and they talk about the stuff they've been through and how hard the transition is and how they still struggle with it. We all still struggle with it. I still struggle with it. And, it's an awesome film because, these guys are being vulnerable. They're opening up. Not a lot of people do that have this PTSD. Not a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people become so vulnerable they let strangers into their lives to hear their story. And, big ups to all three of those dudes because that's so brave. I barely did that 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I think. That's when I started opening up and, telling everybody about my feelings and, the PTSD, what it does to me. Because
So what helped you open up?
Soldiers Angels,
Soldiers Angels.
yeah, they asked, I loved the work I was doing with them, helping veterans. And one day they asked if I wanted to share my story because it was June, was like PTSD month. And they wanted to, they just asked it. They swung and they hit. They swung. They said, "Would you like to tell your story?" And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, I'm ready." And
What
they
what do you
published.
think?
I
I'm
was
sorry.
like,
Go ahead.
oh, they
No, no, go ahead.
published a blog. Everybody read it. It was shared on social media, and I got nothing but support from it. And it was the greatest feeling in the world, man.
What do you think you can do for somebody that is going through what you went through, as far as your experience in the military and how you are now? Like, if you meet somebody who is in drugs and alcohol, and just fresh out of the military, what do you want to say to them, and how do you think you can help them for the future?
I could tell them, you tell everybody they don't understand, but I understand. Talk to me. I'd give them contacts, certain places to contact, if they get lost. I'd ultimately open myself to them, and I would share my number with them. I would tell them that it's not going to be easy, brother, but we have to start searching for something that you can use as an outlet because that helps immensely. And I'll tell them to don't stop. You can't stop. You can't stop, and you can't end. You can't end it on your own. You're a warrior. You're in the military. You're a warrior. Warriors don't do that.
And it's I mean, you meet somebody who's in the military, they're like an immediate brother, like no questions asked.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's an immediate brother. It's kind of like oh, you're a wrestler, so am I. So that's it. Like it's done. We're in this together now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be soldiersangels.org, Valhalla Club. That's VALHALLA Club. Look them up on Facebook, like their page, check out the documentary. Still
Hmm.
haven't had a chance to check it out, but I definitely plan to. So now, let me know, bro. You do LWA, you do Laredo Wrestling Alliance, you do WR, which is Wrestling Revolution. Who else have you worked with, or for, rather, as far as promotions go?
TWA here in San Antonio, Texas Wrestling Alliance. Rudy Russo allows me to be at Galactic Pro Wrestling. I love that man because Bryson brought me in, and that's a great promotion because they bring in Moonshine Mantel, Nate Jolly, Sledge was just there from ROH.
Hmm.
Uh, they got the Hybrid Boys there, and those guys are awesome. But yeah, Rudy Russo, told Bryson, hey, it's cool if he brings you to the ring. That's cool. And to be a part of a show like that, man, just being out there, hearing the fans, like, I love Galactic Pro Wrestling. They're awesome. I'm a part of them. I've done some stuff with Bryson and GCWA, Gulf Coast Wrestling, there in Corpus. I got in contact with the promoter from VPW, Victory Pro Wrestling, in Corpus as well. He actually booked me for a show in Alice. And also going to be doing some crazy cool stuff with PPW.
Nice, yeah.
Puro
PPW is
Pinche
an
Wrestling,
upstart.
baby. I can't wait for that
Puro
one.
Pinche Wrestling, of
I'm hyped
course.
for that one, man. I'm hyped for
That's a good one. I'm definitely gonna want to check out one of their shows.
yeah. Doing a couple shows for them. Also here, heavy metal wrestling. They are a crazy breed of wrestling. Those guys are wild. Heavy metal wrestling, man. If you ever get a chance, look them up. Um, yeah, man, and just whoever I just want to work. I just want to play. I love wrestling, man, and so
So
whoever.
who are your favorites growing up? We're gonna have a little conversation about wrestling now. Who are your favorites growing up?
Man, if we're doing like WWE stuff, I love the Rockers. I love Rick Rude.
Oh man, you were a Rockers fan? I loved the Rockers, man. I used to jump fences the way they used to do that over the top rope thing.
I used to wear bandanas on my wrist, man.
Uh, I didn't go that far, but hey, you're big, so you can get away with it. It was all right.
Yeah, I love the Rockers. I was a big Rick Rude fan. Mr. Perfect. Oh my God, that
Yeah,
guy.
Mr. Perfect. I think Mr. Perfect might have been the first bad guy before I knew, like I was still kayfabe, you know.
Uh,
Um, I think he was the first bad guy I rooted for.
awesome. Yeah, I love bad guys and good guys. I don't care. Just as long as they're awesome wrestlers, they entertain me. That was my mindset. I was like, dude, I love them.
So,
um,
who's one that you would look forward to working with? Both independent and let's say one mainstream.
oh wow. Um, I, w- I would love to work Bryson Scott.
I was gonna say
I'm
that.
not
I
lying.
was
I'm
like,
not
this
lying.
this this answer better come out. I would love to see something like that.
That would be all. I think that'd be awesome, man. We'd have so much fun. But one guy that I can honestly say is my friend is Rodney Mack. You know,
Oh,
uh,
Rodney Mack, yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't mind getting in the ring with him, man, because when he gets in there, he just owns that ring, and I want to be a part of that.
That's
I want
that.
to be,
No, no,
I want to
that,
be
that was
standing on
one bad
the
dude.
other side of him. Yeah.
That
Like
was
right
that was
now,
one bad
if
dude.
I could do something right now,
Yeah.
ooh, man, uh, Walter from
Oh
NXT.
man, Jesus, Walter, man. That is, I want to say he's like both underrated and appreciated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That he's just, and I was watching When Worlds Collide last night,
Hmm.
and my girlfriend mentioned she was just like, look at them. She was talking about Imperium, the way they stand there. She's like, I love that look because they
Yeah.
are all business and they're just ready to kick ass. And with the military background that you have, she mentioned, and she's like, it's like they're soldiers, and all you got to do is flip the switch, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Hell yeah. If I could throw another one in there, one that's not
Yeah, go
with
ahead.
us anymore, I would have loved to work Terry Gordy.
Terry Gordy, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Just that brawling style. I love that brawling style, man.
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing like Jr. used to say. There was nothing pretty about those right hands. It's just straight up kicking and punching.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like being in a bar fight.
So tell me, where's the next spot you're gonna be at? Where somebody can find you?
The next spot I'm gonna be at. Speaking of bar fights, I will be debuting for Texas Heat Wrestling. With Chewy and them crazy dudes that do bar fights. I'm gonna be in one of those coming up soon.
Nice.
Look up for that. Next place I'll be at is February 6th, TNT Pro Wrestling. Oh, I do work over there. That's my trainer, Tito Sanchez. That's his promotion, TNT Professional Wrestling. We'll be at the Southside Expo Hall here in San Antonio on February 6th. That's a Sunday. Bell time's at 6. And February 14th, Valentine's Day with TWA. I'll be
Nice.
getting romantic over there, slamming some people around.
And where can somebody find you on social media?
Social media, I pay attention to my Facebook a lot and Instagram. I barely became, Instagram savvy, so I love making stories. Um, my Facebook is simply Stud Stache is my wrestling page, You can also find me at Dave Campos Jr. It says in the parentheses Stud Stache. I don't mind. Why not? Follow me as much as you can.
Right.
And Stud Stache _ Enforcer on Instagram and Stud _ Stache on Twitter.
Okay, I'm gonna be having the graphic playing across the screen right now, but just to make sure, it's Stud. Stache is STACHE.
Yeah.
Enforcer on Instagram, that's correct. And Dave Campos Jr. Facebook, and Stud Stache on Facebook is your wrestling fan page.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
also on the YouTube, I just started uploading some of my wrestling matches. They're titled Green Days.
Oh, that's right. Yes, let's talk about Green Days. I had that. I'm sorry. I had that note right here, and I'm like, Green Days. I was like, did he tell me that he likes Green Day? Why did I write this?
No,
No, go ahead and talk about Green Days so people can subscribe.
yeah, my YouTube is Stud Stache, 2 words, and yeah, in there's a folder called Green Days. Open it up and it has all my matches. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great, but always open to criticism. All it does is help me learn, and perfect the craft, which will never happen, but I want to get as close as I can.
Nice. Dude, thank you so much for being so transparent. Thank you so much for all your stories. And I'm definitely going to have you back again because I feel like we just scratched the surface when it comes to wrestling. I definitely did want to cover your military career and everything that you went through after you came back, as well as what you went through when you were in there. But now there's a whole nother chapter of your career and your life. And I would love to have you back if you'd be so cool to come back to DNC Radio and talk about your wrestling career. So just to make sure, Instagram is Stud Stache Enforcer, Stud _ Stache, right?
Let's see.
I think it's Stud _ Stache.
It is Stud Stache _ Enforcer on Instagram.
All right, and Dave Campos Jr. on Facebook, and Stud Stache is your wrestling fan page. Thanks so much, man. I really, really appreciate your time. I loved having you here, and I loved
it was fun, man. I had fun. Every time I talk about stuff, especially military stuff, man, all it does is heal me that much more. So thank you, man.
Oh no, dude. And I can't wait because I think you said Friday you're going to be at Wrestling Revolution.
Either this Friday, if not next Friday, but I'll be there within 2 weeks. I know that much.
Definitely. And I'm going to have a poster printed out for you. I like to make these photo edits on the side. So I have a poster with you and Bryson together that I want to give to you as a thank you.
Damn, awesome, man.
Yeah, of course. So Valhalla Club on Facebook, soldiersangels.org. We went over all the handles. Me, I am D from DNC Digital. Follow me on Instagram at DNC Digital. Follow me on Twitter at DNC Digital. And go like my Facebook page, DNC Digital on Facebook. This is DNC Radio. Oh, you know what? Holy crap. It's tonight. Tell me who's going to win the Rumble. This is going to air after the Rumble's done. So it's a little Back to the Future thing. Who's going to win the Rumble tonight?
Drew McIntyre or Keith Lee? Big surprise.
Jesus. Okay. How about the women? How about the women's?
The women's, woo. Man, I don't know. It's going to be, I want to say someone from NXT because I saw they only had like 8 confirmed. So there has to be some kind of surprise. And usually the women have been doing that lately, man. Just pulling crap out and, everybody pops and sends them home happy.
And you know what? I just saw on Twitter today, on the Twitter of Wrestling 20 Years Ago, that's another podcast that I do. And they wrote on their Twitter account, there doesn't have to be surprises all the time because in 1992, we knew who was going to be in. We knew every man in that Rumble before they came out, and we still talk about that Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Oh shit, you're all right.
Years later, we knew all 30 entrants, and we still talk about that Royal Rumble.
Oh, for the women's one, Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler. Is that who you're going for?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So everybody out there listening right now, it is after the Rumble, but Stud Stache Enforcer has just predicted that Shayna Baszler will win the Women's Royal Rumble, and Drew McIntyre or Keith Lee which would be crazy, was going to win the Men's Royal Rumble. Thanks again so much. Stud Stache Enforcer, I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for being here. DNC Digital on Twitter, Instagram, DNC Digital on Facebook. Follow me. Hit me with it. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Share this because this man's story needs to be told to multiple people. And I can count on you to share this because you are on it. So I need you to give it to all your wrestling buddies. I need you to give it to Bryson so he can hear how much you love him. And awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to DNC Digital. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment. Let me know who you want on this show because I'm so open to helping people tell their stories and promote whatever they got. So go ahead and tag somebody on this post. Go ahead and write their name on the comment here on the YouTube video. This is D. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am out.
Peace.